You're listening to the Reinvest Podcast, where each Tuesday we show business owners and entrepreneurs how to diversify into real estate by equipping you with the tools and tactics to build generational wealth. Your hosts, Garrett Gatton and Seth Ciminillo. Guys, it is the middle of December. Another year almost in the books. 2025 is coming to a close, and it's coming quick.
It went by fast.
Dude, it did go by fast. That's crazy.
2 years ago when I was at Best Ever, I think it was 2 years ago. I think it was 2023. The slogan for that year was survive until 25. And now here we are in 2025, and interest rates still have not come down.
Yeah,
yeah. So really, you need to survive until whenever that happens.
2027, 2028. We did it though. Survived through 2025. We're still here. A few nicks and bruises along the way, and a few lessons learned. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're also taking an inventory of your year in review. I think it's really good as a society. We do not do a great job of slowing down enough to learn what went well, what didn't go well, to make those adjustments. At least I'm that way. Some people are naturally self-reflective, but
maybe. I think most of it is we're just such a distracted society.
Yes.
And there's always something else to consume. There's always something else to move on to. You know, our phones are designed to just keep us locked in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The new economy, I forget what I was listening to that was saying this, but it was like the new economy is like your attention span. So it's like they're trying to capitalize off of every second of your attention span for marketing dollars and all these things. And that's what our phones and technology is designed for. And so I think it just really makes people, just keep moving forward. They never look back. And because of that, they never really get better.
Well, kind of on that note, we were reflecting off camera just how things have been a little bit slower. And it's easy. I think the hustle culture says you got to always keep the pedal down. But if you've ever read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, there's production capacity ratio. And he kind of gives this analogy of like the golden goose, right? And if you keep working the goose so much to produce the golden eggs, well, if the goose dies, well, now you've lost your engine to produce that. So you are the engine. You got to take care of yourself.
You are the goose.
Oh, man.
No, it's been nice. It's been good. Honestly, with the winter, things slow down a bit. But just to be home a little bit more, be with the kids.
Yeah.
I got a pregnant wife, so it's been good to slow down a hair.
Needy. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry, man.
Well, today for this podcast, we wanted to look back on this year and talk about some of the wins and losses from 2025 from our personal business and our personal investment portfolio. And none of these are going to be earth-shattering, but just something to share with you guys. And just to, like what we said, reflect on the year and what we've learned from some of this stuff. And so I'm going to start with the first win. And I'm going to talk about using debt to buy cash flow. And what I mean by that is I have existing investment properties that I have gone in and improved, and I've retained them on long-term debt. But I went and took out a HELOC on them, or a line of credit on these properties. And so it gives me some working capital. So rather than borrowing short-term capital from someone else, or private money, or hard money, or getting a new loan, I can borrow money from myself. And it's backed by my existing properties that I hold on stable long-term debt, and they have good cash flow. And so this year, I kind of had my portfolio in a spot where I could actually pull some money from these lines of credits, and I bought 2 duplexes this year privately with my own lines of credit. So I used that as a down payment for my down payment to buy these duplexes. And both these duplexes, the cash-on-cash return was over 20% on both of them. And I bought them because they were already rented out, and they are just kind of more turnkey solutions. So they didn't take a lot of my time. I didn't have to do a bunch of work to get them leased up or spend a lot of extra money to get them leased up. And so that was why I bought them. And they still were doing like a 20% cash-on-cash return. And so my line of credit that I was using is at an 8% interest rate. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of doing some debt arbitrage, and I'm still at a positive, interest rate. So if you want to just look at it, I'm still making 12% until I pay off whatever I was using on my line of credit. And so that's kind of the strategy. So this year I bought a couple more, increased my cash flow, and I'm taking my excess cash flow and some excess money, and I'm just going to hammer down those lines of credit.
Yeah.
But what it allowed me to do is when a good opportunity came up, it allowed me to move forward and pull the trigger and have the capital on hand. And that's really what it is. Because
here's what I want to say about this. I've been watching you do this for the last couple of years, and it's really been a culmination of singles and doubles that have compounded. So you bought the Delphus duplex, you benefited from being an active participant in the market. Before you moved out, got a HELOC on it.
Yeah.
And that was key because by the time you move out, the bank looks at it differently. So they were able to look at that and say, hey, this is his primary residence still. We're going to give him a favorable term on a HELOC. And it, outperformed what you thought we were going to achieve on the value side of things.
For sure.
Did it a couple more times. Well, now it's seasoned. You do the strategy for a couple years, and it's really, you're feeling the effects of it now.
Yeah, it's taken 5 years, reflecting on even the last 5 years. It's taken 5 years to feel like I have some assets to leverage and some cash flow to actually use that is beneficial. And it's kind of like, this last year I got into running and training for a marathon. And it's just like, once you're doing it, you're like, there's nothing fancy about this. It's just, you're just running. It's 1 mile at a time. It's slow. You're not sprinting. And that's just what this real estate investing stuff has been the last 5 years for me. It's just, taking it a mile at a time, a property at a time, a unit at a time. And just singles and doubles. And all of a sudden you look back and you're like, hey, I've kind of had a lot of hits. I've round the bases a few times now. So, it is interesting. It's a good strategy, but that was kind of one of the wins from this last year, being able to add 4 more units to my portfolio, and kind of looking forward to 2026 and adding some more.
You know what Steve Jobs said about overnight successes? That they're 10 years in the making.
They don't happen.
All right. Well, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. There have been some losses this year. You and I personally kind of experienced a tough lesson, our own smaller pocket story.
Yeah. Wow. It wasn't very fun.
Hit the horn. This is our own smaller pockets. Oh, what are you going to do? Well, here's what it was. So this year, we're going to talk about this later, the power of networking. And we took on an investment opportunity. It was an off-market deal, bought a single-family house. We were pretty excited. Nice little 2-bed, 1-bath home.
From a wholesaler.
Yeah. And, there was good margin there. I love 2-bed, 1-bath houses personally because they swing a big stick on the rent without having a ton of remodel cost.
It was a decent area, and, it was going to be an easy rental. And, we were realtors, so we had run the comps, and we felt good about what maybe the value would be from a retail perspective.
Yep. Well, the problem was after we got into the project, one of the big issues was that utilities weren't on by the time we purchased it.
And by not on, like the electric wasn't even hooked up.
Wasn't hooked up. And we knew that. So we thought we had kind of allocated for what we thought the cost associated with kind of getting utilities on and up and running was.
And we got some soft quotes even from some electricians, but nothing hard. We didn't have people actually do the hard numbers, due diligence on it.
You remember what we had budgeted for the electrician or electrical work? Was like $1,500?
$3,000 to $4,000 if we were going to do the box, which we thought there was an option to not have to do the box or keep the existing kind of box where it was.
Yeah. So best case scenario, $1,500.
So then we were thinking maybe a couple thousand just to new meter base and get it hooked up. Well, that was all wrong. The city came out and nixed everything we wanted to do, and they required us to move to do a new meter base. Now with the new regulations, you have to have an exterior shutoff. Then they made us move the box location. So then we had to move everything.
Didn't have our contractors lined up.
Didn't have our contractors lined up. So then we had to rewire a lot of stuff. And to be honest, our budget initially for this project was about $10,000.
Napkin numbers.
And we have done some projects in the past. We've done our own rentals. We've remodeled stuff. Anyway, this one got out of hand. We were ill-equipped for the expenses for not having the utilities on, and we're going to be a little over $20,000 for this now.
Yeah.
And so when your rehab budget doubles, so when your rehab budget doubles, and luckily this is a small project, you know what I mean? You're not talking anything huge, but still, all of a sudden the numbers don't look good anymore.
Yeah.
And so there's no margin. Now, luckily, there was multiple exit strategies, selling it to an investor, selling it to a retail buyer, and then keeping it as a rental. So, there's different things you can do. But because our margins got compressed so much, now we just got to keep it as a rental, which is still cash flows, and Garrett's going to buy that. and just keep it as a rental, so it's still going to work. So one of the benefits about real estate is there are multiple exit strategies, but because we didn't have our contractors lined up in a timely manner, now we're coming into winter. It's just been a headache, and now we're not making any money on it either. So it's like we're just spending a lot of time. We're going to break even, and it's kind of a thorn in our side.
Yeah, and you get demotivated and stuff like that. But here's, we always talk about what did you learn from it, right? And I would say two things personally. One is we kind of had a very casual approach to this because it was such a small property, and it kind of rocked us to sleep to not come with some intentionality and really sharpen the pencil and spell out the process. So if you're buying a property, have your contractors lined up ahead of time, involve them in the process prior to purchasing it, have them be a part of the walkthrough so that you can begin to build that timeline and get them lined up. That's number one.
And to be fair, we've changed out a lot of meter bases. So I've done some of my personal properties, and then for the mobile home park, we've had to have that done quite a few times. Mm-hmm. And so, I was just looking at those numbers, and I was like, oh yeah, here's what it's going to be. And it just wasn't. The city got involved, and they kind of had some say in what was going on. So just because you've paid something in the past does not mean it's the same for every property. So it is kind of good to have those contractors who would be willing to get you like a solid quote on the front end.
And you can't always do this, but point number two is when you're buying a property, if you can have the utilities on at the time before purchase, then that is going to guarantee a base level of functionality in the utilities for the property, be it gas, that it's hooked up to the furnace, the electrical work, that the breaker panel engages and turns on, the water, that there's not leaks everywhere, and more of what you're buying. And I think had we pushed for that a little bit more, maybe the outcome would have been a little bit different. But the win there is have multiple exit strategies. And I'm using my HELOC then to come as a down payment and to purchase that property. Again, the power of having some lines of credit available to you.
So that was a loss, but that's okay. Real estate is a little bit forgiving if you can hang on to the property and you're not forced to sell. So the next win in 2025, the power of optimizing while the market is slow. What do you got on that?
Man, so what do you do when deals aren't coming at you? Obviously, that's the exciting part of real estate to be a part of is, finding new deals, having acquisitions lined up, running those projections. But that's just not the market we've been in this last year. You've obviously bought a couple of deals. I have as well, but not like it was. And so it's really an opportunity, and we took that opportunity to say we are spending a lot of time at the mobile home park. How can we focus on putting the right people in place? Our park manager retired.
Yeah.
We found people within the park to step up, and it gave us a fresh slate to spell out some processes that were going to save us time and money.
And here's a lesson. We did not optimize the park management position and some of our operations at the park because we were too lazy. Is what it boils down to. But the park manager quitting forced us to make those changes. And we didn't want to fire her. We didn't want to take away her job. So that was part of it. And she just couldn't do some of the stuff that we needed her to do in that role. And so because we didn't want to fire her, we just kind of left it dysfunctional. And things were kind of falling through the cracks. Well, she quit, forced us to actually get these positions filled. And it actually was better because now we've filled more roles, more responsibilities for less money for the park. And we were able to give our investors this last year because of some of this optimization. We were able to focus on filling some vacancies. We were able to increase our investors' payout this year too and kind of exceed our pro forma and expectations. And so we took that opportunity of a slow time, and we really drilled down, and now we are spending less time at the park than we have all year, and it's been great.
You're more this way, so I applaud you for it, but I'm one of those people that I'll just keep banging my head against the wall, and I'm like, oh, I wish this was easier. And, actually getting some processes in place and seeing how that bought back time or headspace, really it's not even just about time. Sometimes the mental energy that you get back that you can put towards something else that's more valuable. it's kind of fun to hack these things. So then today I was working on some things on the agent side of our business to say, how do I keep from having to kind of like go and do these workarounds that are clunky? So I'd encourage you to optimize your business, your processes. It's mundane, but it will buy back time and mental energy for you to continue to do what you want to do.
Especially in these slow seasons where maybe naturally there's some cycles of being a little slower like we have in the winter. So
absolutely.
So that was win number 2, optimizing while the market's slow. That's awesome. So loss. What was another loss from this year?
So, man, what got you here isn't necessarily what's going to get you there. Our business has changed over time. And I think one of the losses that we saw in the first part of the year is we got caught in the weeds on things that were not of the best use of our time.
Yeah. And we've talked about that a few times in this podcast. We've brought up Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time, that book, and that concept of like, how do you stop doing lower value tasks, like lower dollar per hour tasks, and focus on what's going to make you the most money?
Yep. Yeah, and no one's going to tell you what those things are. You got to figure them out yourself. And the more clarity you get on your business, that's when you realize, hey, actually, I shouldn't be doing this. And A, maybe it still needs done, so you got to delegate it. Or B, it's actually a detriment to you, and you need to say no to it.
Yeah, and just because it served you earlier in your business doesn't mean it's serving you now. And so it's okay to stop things or say no to things that are actually draining your time and energy more than helping you. And I think we spent the first half this year probably draining ourselves unnecessarily. And
kind of one of those things were the meetup.
Yeah, it was a bummer. It was like an ego thing. And I think some relational stuff too, because you like the relationships you have with the meetup, and you like just putting on an event and being with people. But it wasn't really serving our business, and it was taking away time from our families, and it was taking away our energy and our headspace. And so, but once we like took that off, it was like kind of a weight off.
It was.
The rest of this year, we've been like, man, that was the right call, because we have more focus and more energy for other things that are actually pushing forward our business.
If you're listening to this and you have a nagging thing in the back of your mind that you need to say no to something, to say yes to something else, you should probably do it. Because usually, like for me, once we said no to that, I was like, we should have done this earlier.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the strength or the conviction to do it. So I delayed it, and I delayed it, and I delayed it.
And in theory, I still think it's something that would be good for our area to have.
Yeah.
And we tried to find someone to take it over before we shut it down. And we already had kind of like the system and the network for someone to take it over, but we just couldn't. So it was like, you just kind of had to let it go. So, but no, I think don't get caught up in the weeds in the low dollar per hour tasks. I'll tell you one thing that's been huge this year that we kind of figured out halfway through the year, but our email management, you can have someone else manage your email for you, which sounds crazy. Yeah. It was crazy to me because it didn't make any sense. But you can have someone else manage your email for you. And
guys, I had over 1,000 unopened emails. Guess how many I have right now? 2.
Yeah. No, anyway, honestly, that's like a headspace game changer, and prioritizing emails and putting them in folders for you. And so our assistant does that for us. And that's honestly been crazy valuable this year. So anyway, all I'd say is, what are the things that you can delegate and not get caught in the weeds in your business and caught in the mundane stuff and drag you down and take away your energy? So that was a loss for us. We spent most of this year, and we're still trying to figure out what are those things in our business that we're caught up in the weeds on. A win from this year, from 2025, the power of networking private money. We've been talking about networking and private money and creative ways to lend for 5 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've been talking about it, but this year I felt like we really experienced it kind of on a different level. And you always talk about how can you buy deals when you are constrained with cash. Mm-hmm. One of them's HELOCs, creative ways to use your debt and leverage debt. But another one is private money. And it's always kind of like, well, how do you get private money? Well, it's taken us a few years, but it's about who, if you can get people to know, like, and trust you, you can get private money.
Yeah.
And so we've really been benefiting from that. And we've raised money for deals in the past, and that's part of that. But this is like For smaller projects, we've been using private money this year. And so I don't know. What do you got on that?
Yeah, so I was surprised at how many relationships were actually right in front of us, willing to do this.
Yeah.
That was surprising.
Yeah, you kind of think they'd have to be in the real estate field, but actually most of our investors are not in real estate at all. Mm-hmm. But they trust us.
Yep.
And that's kind of the linchpin, I think. If they know, like, and trust you, then investing makes sense to them and your business plan makes sense to them, then it's not that hard for them to let you borrow that money. And so we've borrowed money for several deals this last year. We've done a couple of flips.
$100,000.
Yeah. And it's been really cool. And it's been a really cool way to recycle someone else's capital. It makes our returns obviously better because we don't have cash in the deal. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really cool way to invest and maybe fill in some projects where if you didn't have the cash, you just want to be able to do them.
One of our partnerships came from this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. We're in a partnership with a flip right now. We met him through the podcast. And so, again, just the power of networking. And then we've used private money even in that partnership to do a project and do a flip. And so it's possible. And I would encourage anybody who out there is like, man, how are you guys finding that? I mean, it's just regular people. Look at business owners in your network, even if it's not real estate. Look at older people who are maybe more established and have money in a retirement account or on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And it's about building a relationship where they trust you, because no one's going to give you their money if they don't trust you. And so, showing them that you're serious, showing them that you're in real estate to stay and that you have a good track record. You've done completed projects in the past. And I think like anything, sometimes it just takes getting a couple reps by yourself.
Yeah.
And letting people see that, hey, I've done this and it's worked. And really seeking out those in your network that maybe you wouldn't have thought of.
Yep. Yeah, that was cool. From the networking side on the podcast, like one of the biggest benefits of doing this podcast has been how it's forced us out of our comfort zone to meet people we never would have met otherwise.
Yeah.
And we've been able to kind of firsthand expose ourselves to other strategies and people doing things at a high level.
Yeah, and just being able to hear how many people are just normal people.
Yeah, yeah.
Out of the 150 or 140 people that we've interviewed, right?
140 of them are putting pants on one leg at a time.
They're just normal people. They had normal stuff going on.
Yeah.
And even some of the titans in our space, Brandon Turner and Joe Fairless. I mean, you know what I mean?
They
like
started
these
somewhere.
People, they were just like normal guys when you talk to them. And it's kind of cool.
I talked to one guy who he's multi-million dollars now in terms of what he's been able to snowball. And he started with just like $100,000. And he just invested and compounded it and did all the strategies that we've talked about on this podcast for years, but he's been doing it for 10 to 15 years. And now he's in an incredible spot. Yeah. But it was just like consistency, doing the right thing.
It's consistency. If there's one thing that you can apply to your life that will absolutely change your life, it's being consistent with whatever your goals are and just being relentlessly consistent. I've seen it in our career, in our field, in the agent field this last year, how it can impact you. But it will just make your life better if you can be consistent, because most people aren't. Most people are come and go. They have a goal for a couple of weeks or a thought for a couple of weeks, and then they give up or move on. But if you can be consistent, that'll change everything.
Today on LinkedIn, I saw a broker post. They're a national brokerage, commercial brokerage. And he said 80% of college graduates that come into commercial brokerage will quit in 12 to 18 months.
Which makes sense because it's super hard.
It's so hard. But again, investing is the same way. How many people did we talk to? They're like, oh, I had a rental once.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's just like one time I did that thing and it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. And then I moved on from it. And maybe they don't know it. And sometimes they do. That piece of real estate or that strategy now would be life-changing if you'd continued with it. So, just every industry kind of has, has that. Okay,
last one, another loss for 2025. Hit us.
Managing discouragement with missed opportunities. This is like a painful one. It's recently painful, and it's been painful throughout the year. I'm just going to level with you. I haven't totally figured this one out yet. I feel like we've been the bridesmaid a lot and not the bride.
Yeah,
that's been really frustrating. Yeah. We've had a couple swings at the plate.
Yeah, for some larger deals around our area where we've maybe offered, or maybe we were just late on offering and we missed an opportunity, it traded off market. And that is just so discouraging when you feel like you are literally like, I have money.
Yeah.
I want to buy a property.
Right.
And it's hard to find a good deal. And I know that sounds stupid for people listening. They're like, duh, haven't you been listening to anything the last couple of years? Yeah, I have. But we've also been trying. And so it's just, but again, consistency. If we are consistent and if we keep doing the right things and right actions, and if we keep implementing the right systems into our business, we're going to buy more deals.
Yeah.
It just, man, it takes a lot of bats sometime and you get discouraged.
Yeah. Well, and just to get as specific as we can without, we had a self-storage opportunity, offered on it, couldn't get together on price, and then somebody bought it for more money than what
the seller was even asking us.
Yeah. And you're like, we're not even close to being a viable buyer on some of this stuff because of how much overpaying is going on for some of these assets.
Yeah.
A couple mobile home parks that we were like, it was in our radar. We had heard through the grapevine. We got in front of them, couldn't come together on price. Someone else put it under contract first. And like that is really discouraging because for us, that's where we're going in our business. And we want to do that geographically in a 45-minute radius of our area, which only gives so many options to buy. Right. Or broker relationships. There had been, this year, we've had probably two really quality assets get listed in our area from a broker from Cleveland or Cincinnati. And because we don't have those broker relationships established, we're not hearing about it.
Right.
And we're playing catch up on these deals. And so that's very discouraging. Managing that discouragement is very hard. If you're listening and you got advice, let us know.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just kind of how do you keep pressing on and keep being consistent and keep doing the right things even when you are feeling like the wind gusts knocked out of you.
Yeah.
But it's just life. I mean, there's ups and there's downs and there's disappointments, and you just got to keep moving forward despite those, and you can't let them stop you from action. So
part of why we wanted to share this episode with you guys is we don't have it figured out. We're still learning. We're still encountering those losses and those challenges, but we want to encourage you guys, continue on with your plan and just work it and
have a plan. And have a plan.
Yes.
And if you don't have a plan, guess what? Get one for 2026. We're going to be doing our end of year kind of recap and end of year planning forward for our goals for 2026 coming up here the first week of January. And so I encourage you, whether it's yourself or you and your spouse, you guys should do a goal setting and make a plan for this year. And because if you don't make a plan, you're planning to fail. That's what they say. That's and also you just don't know where you're going. So how do you even prioritize actions when you have no idea what your goals are? So come up with a plan this year. Super impactful, super important, and it will get you started on 2026 in the right way.
As always, excited that you joined us for another episode of the Reinvest Podcast. If you want to learn how you can use your hard-earned capital to diversify into real estate, go to our website, reinvestcapital.us, and shoot us a message. Move farther, reach higher, and grow deeper.